Welcome to my garage. Today I will be doing part 2 of my favorite trivia-based TV game shows. In my last video, I covered numbers 15 through 11, so click right here, or here, or here, wherever I put the link on the page. Click right here to see that video. And if you like what I'm doing here, please help out. Click the like button and also be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my videos that I'll be putting out. Let's get back to the countdown. Number 10. Ellen's Game of Games, hosted by, of course, Ellen DeGeneres. And while this show isn't all trivia, so meaning that all the winners don't necessarily answer trivia questions all the time, it does have enough trivia-based questions in the show to make my list. And especially because the end of the show for the final winner, it's all trivia-based. So that's why I included it. The show consists of all kinds of wacky games and challenges where people get stuff hit in their face or dunked into vats of goo and things like that. The overall weekly prize is $100,000, and the questions are pretty easy overall. So the general viewer, the general trivia buff, should like this show. Like Remote Control that was on my list earlier in the previous video, this show is really good as far as how losers exit the show. They either get launched off of the set by a bungee cord, but more importantly, the final exits are all done with people falling down basically into what looks like a bottomless pit. How great is that? Your question's wrong. You push the button and they're gone. So it's really a fun show. Okay, let's go on to number 9. The name of this show is Bull. Yes, that's the actual name of the show. It's hosted by Howie Mandel on the Netflix streaming service, most likely because you can't say BS on regular TV as much as they say it on the show, so that show's on Netflix. The concept of this show is that there's 3 players going against a 4th player, and that 4th player is the BSer. So what happens is they're asked a question, a multiple choice question, and they pick their answer. And on their monitor screen, they're shown if their answer is correct or wrong. And if it's wrong, they have to proceed to tell a BS story to the other 3 players to try to convince them that their wrong answer, that they only know is wrong, is actually the correct answer. So they make up some story or some reasoning on why they know that answer they picked was correct.
Imagine, if you will, you're on a trivia show.
The answer is...
And you don't know the answer to any of the questions.
Sorry.
Scary, right? Well, not on this show, because this is...
No!
Here, you can answer questions wrong.
I don't believe you.
I didn't buy any of that.
I was lying.
And still win $1 million. All you need is one of these people to believe your story.
And then the 3 players indicate whether that person is BSing or not BSing. So, how do you get the question right and move up a level in the dollar amount that you could win? Well, the first way is to get the question right. So no matter what they say, if you're BSing or not, if you get the question right, you move up. The other way is if you get the question wrong, you only need to convince one of those 3 players that you're not BSing. So if one of those 3 players say you're not BSing, you get to move up to the next dollar amount level. So what's kind of really cool about this show is you can get all the way up to the 1 million grand prize level and actually win $1 million and not actually answer any questions correctly. As long as you BS the other players well enough that some of them are convinced you're telling the truth, you could win the $1 million. All right, let's move on to number 8. The name of that show is called The Wheel. So this show is hosted by Michael McIntyre, who is a British comedian and game show host. I believe he actually hosted the game and the British version of this show before it came to the U.S. And the concept of this show is the set is a huge wheel that rotates, kind of like a large merry-go-round. And this wheel has 6 celebrities on it that are an expert on each one of the possible 6 trivia questions that are going to be asked in this game. So what happens is the player picks a category, and the celebrity spin around and it lands on a celebrity, kind of like, you know, the Wheel of Fortune type wheel, I guess. And if it lands on the celebrity that's the expert of that question, you possibly have a higher percentage of using their help to get the question correct. If it lands on one of the other 5 celebrities, you just have to hope that they know enough about that topic that they might be able to help you. I just want to talk a little bit about what I don't like about the show with that expert label. Is that expert label is a little misleading, as it it's very loosely labeled to each of those celebrities. And the example I want to give is there was a female Olympic gymnast as one of the celebrities, and one of the topics was gymnastics. So the player picked that question, the celebrity spun, it landed on the gymnast, but the question had to do with a term that was more popular with male Olympic gymnastics. And this gymnast had no clue what the answer was. I mean, I knew what it was. It was something to do with the pommel horse, like one of those moves or something I think they did. And you'd think she would know it, but she had no clue. She provided zero help to the contestant because her reasoning was, I only know women's gymnastics, not men's gymnastics. So that expert label didn't help at all in that situation. So if it lands on them or you get a question incorrectly, you're out. And what happens is there's a couple other contestants behind the scenes that randomly get picked to replace you if you go out. You could possibly get reselected because it's a random selection and come right back into the game. Or another player comes in, if they may answer a couple questions, and when they're out, again, one of the 3 people come in. It could be you or not. It just depends on how that random selection happens. And what happens, though, is all the players' money that is won gets banked into a single total dollar amount at the end of the show, and that last player left that's going for that final dollar amount has a chance to win that money. So it sounds complicated, but it's a fun show to watch. There's a lot of comedy. You know, the celebrities are B and C level celebrities for the most part, but it's a fun show. I definitely recommend watching it if it gets awarded a second season in this next coming year. Let's move on to number 7. So number 7 is 1 vs. 100. This show was hosted by the late, great Bob Saget, who did a great job hosting the show, in my opinion. And the concept of this show is one player goes against 100 other players that are in this huge, massive set of seats on the set of the show. And the idea of the game is that you just keep answering questions correctly, and as long as you answer them correctly, you stay in the game. So the way it works is you answer it, and then all 100 other players answer it. If any of those 100 players answer the question incorrectly, they are out. So then it's 1 against 80, 1 against 50. So the number keeps reducing until it could possibly go down to 1 versus 1. But the idea is that when all 100 of the other players are gone, you win whatever that dollar amount is. So that dollar amount keeps growing as you get deeper and deeper into the game. So if all 100 get the first question wrong, you don't win much money because the ladder of levels of that you were climbing hasn't happened yet. So you want the 100 to last a little while so you could build your bank bigger. But you know, it just depends on how that works.
3 people got it wrong. For $1,000 each, you just won $3,000.
So the top dollar amount is $1 million again. And if you ever do get a question wrong, whatever is banked in your money, winning money amounts, that gets split amongst however many of the 100 other players there are. So that's what their buy-in is, to keep answering the questions correctly. The show had a good variety of questions. I really liked it. And they also did have a number of lifelines, kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where you could pick one of the specific players and ask why they answered the way they answered. You could get like how many answered it correctly, things like that. So there were a couple different lifelines, which is always a nice way to kind of stay in the game, in my opinion. So now, let's move on to number 6, Cash Cab. This show is a very interesting show, and I've always liked it. It's hosted by comedian Ben Ray Bailey, who actually drives, it started in New York, so I'm going to say a New York cab, drives it around the city of New York, and literally unsuspecting players get in the cab thinking they're going for a normal cab ride, and when they get in, lights flash that are inside the cab, some music plays, and Ben lets them know that they're on a game show.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. We're going to Brother Jimmy's on 32nd and Lex.
Oh, Brother Jimmy's.
Yes, please. Yeah.
No! You guys are in the cash cab!
Oh my God!
So once they agree to be on the game show, he actually starts driving to the destination they wanted to go to. And that's what makes the game a little interesting, because the timing of how far they're going really determines how many questions are going to be answered and how much money they could win. So the longer the route was from where they were going to go, the potential for them to win more money is available. They get 3 strikes, which means 3 questions wrong. And if they get 3 questions wrong, he basically pulls over wherever they are and kicks them out of the cab. So they may only be halfway there, they may be almost there, wherever it is, kicks them out. They got to find another cab. And there are some lifelines on this show as well. One of them, or the most common one, was called a shout out, where if they needed help answering a question, they could just pick, hey, I want to go ask that guy in the blue jacket on the sidewalk over there, and he would pull over, they'd roll down the window and ask that person on the street the question to see if they could help answer it. So again, Cash Cab, number 6. That's going to end the video for today. So remember, like my video. If you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. Also, leave comments. What do you think about these 5 recent shows in this countdown? And let me know your comments. Let me know if you like what I'm doing. Let me know of anything else you want me to do. So stay tuned. Check back for the top 5. That video will be coming out shortly. But for today, the garage is closed.